Morning everyone, welcome back to my videos. So today we're going to be doing the fun and exciting task of setting up an industrial sewing machine. Yeah, that was my thoughts exactly when I started sewing. Look, it is extremely daunting, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually a fun machine to use. And the reason why you do use an industrial sewing machine, if you've ever wondered, is they are actually made for long-term durability. So if you're sewing for longer hours or you working the whole day on your sewing machine, I would suggest investing in an industrial sewing machine. From sewing ball gowns to wedding dresses, denim like jeans, anything with a boning in it, the industrial machine can handle that and slide through that much more easy than a domestic sewing machine. It's also less maintenance. You literally just have to fill it with oil and it's pretty much has its maintenance done, unlike the domestic where you have to clean it and all of that. So yes, we're going to learn this fun one, and of course, like I mentioned before, this is really scary when you start, and if you are left-handed, just be patient with yourself. You're going to need a lot more time than everyone else, but if I can do it, so can you. Okay everyone, so this is my industrial sewing machine. It is the Harrison GC 9000C. It has a silent motor and it is one of the more advanced models. In other words, I can control my speed on this machine. So first thing first, when you are starting your industrial sewing machine, you need to check your oil. I'm going to do this. I'm going to place my arm flat like this and lift. Oh, it's very heavy, so just be careful. There's a stand at the back that you can rest it on. And now check my oil. It has a high bar and a low bar. So oil needs to be on the high bar always. You need to check this before you start your machine each time. And then lift it slowly down and close it. First check done. Second thing is safety. The most important thing when you are using an industrial machine is to always practice safety. You are working with a machine, a heavy duty machine, so you need to be careful when you are operating because you can get injured. So first thing first, always make sure that your counter is clear. You don't want to be winding a bobbin or sewing with a pair of scissors or a screwdriver or any other heavy objects on here. The reason being is that these machines got such a high speed that it can actually fly up and injure you. Step 2. Introduction to parts of the industrial sewing machine. Hand wheel for controlled sewing. Thread bars for placing your thread in. Tensions for when you're threading your machine to create the perfect tension for sewing. Backstitch lever for when you have to back tack your sewing. Stitch sizing. Bobbin winding area. Your metal ruler. Your sliding disc. You slide open to place your bobbin in. Your knee bar, which lowers and raises your sewing foot, and your sewing pedal. Part 3. You'll need the following to set up your industrial sewing machine. A bobbin case, needles, which come in different sizes, thread, again I'm using the Cerilon brand, a pair of scissors, a screwdriver, and your sewing foot. I've got here a straight foot, a zipper foot left hand, and a right hand zipper foot. Step 4. Winding the bobbin and setting up the bobbin. I take my thread, which I place in the thread bar. There's a left hand side and a right hand side. I use the right hand side to thread my bobbin. I then place my thread in the first tension hole. I'm going up and over. Then I'm going to place it through the second tension hole. I'm going to slide it through the tension disc. Make sure it's in between. I'm going to take my thread again through the second tension hole. I'm going to pull gently I'm going to make sure this is not too tight, but tight enough. And then I'm going to take my bobbin. I'm going to place it here without the bobbin case. Again, I'm going to wrap it a few times to give it a start. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use my cutter to trim it. And then I'm going to push this lever against it. And then I'm going to place my foot on the foot pedal to get it going. With this machine, you just need to gauge how thick it goes. It will not stop automatically. So I like to just fill it enough and then stop it myself. I then pull out the lever. I lift my bobbin. Using the thread cutter, I then cut it neatly and check that it's all neat and not looped. I then take my bobbin case. I insert my bobbin, take my thread. I pull it through this hole, around and through here, and now it is secure, placed in neatly to put inside my bobbin holder. The next step is inserting the needle and your sewing foot. First step, the needle. Before you insert your needle, check and fiddle with the needle to get a good feeling of it. You've got a flat side and a round side with a groove. You're going to insert the needle. It will slide in quite easily. Then you need to fiddle with the needle until you feel that the groove is sitting on the right hand side. I then take my screwdriver and screw it on neatly and tightly. It is now secure. I then take my sewing foot. You'll see there's a groove in between. This is going to be used to slip in by the bar over here. I then use my knee bar to lift the sewing foot. Place it in, it will slide in smoothly. Again, there's a screw on the other side. I'm going to screw it in and release the knee bar. Now we are going to thread the actual machine. As you can see, I've left my thread in from where I was threading the bobbin. I'm going to leave this in place. Trick, always buy 2 of the same color threads so that you don't have to undo all the threading here. If your bobbin does run out while you're sewing, then you don't have to restart the whole process again. Everything's already set up. First thing first, I'm going to place my thread in the thread bar, left hand side. I'm going to loop it up and down. As explained earlier, this is the bobbin section. We're going to start here, your first tension. I'm going to go through 1, behind 2, back in 3, through the next hole, slide between the tension discs, down through the other hole, through here, round the tension disc, make sure it pulls and grabs in that, under, through your next hole, through the next, behind this, through the needle bar, push it. I'm then going to thread my needle manually. And pull. and slide to the back. I'm then going to insert the bobbin. Don't forget, we've already placed it inside its case. I'm going to slide open this metal bar, and then I'm going to take my bobbin and place it inside. The best is to get on your knees and just kind of swiggle it in, and you're going to hear a click. You need to hear that click. If you do not hear that click, it hasn't been inserted properly and it's going to fall out while you're sewing. And then I'm going to shut this closed. Final step, I promise. I turn my machine back on because I've now finished fiddling with my needles. I place my first thread to the left hand side and under my sewing foot. I now want my bobbin thread to come to the top. So I'm going to take my hand bar and wind it towards myself until the second thread appears. You might have to do this a few times. I used a pair of tweezers there because it wasn't coming out as smoothly and as easily as I hoped. So sometimes you just give it a bit of a grip. You can use a pair of tweezers, and then I just place these two threads onto the side, and now you're ready to get going. Final step, guys. Yippee! Okay, so I'm going to check the size of my stitch using the stitch bar here. I push it. Fiddle. It's going to be on the standard 3. I'm going to lift my sewing foot with the knee bar and lower it. I'm going to put my needle down, straighten out my threads, and begin sewing. Yay! Everything came out perfectly. Once I'm finished, place my knee on the knee bar and pull to your left hand side and cut. As I can see here, no loops, no knots, all the tensions are still in place, and I'm ready to get sewing. Tips and tricks, guys. This really will be useful when you are setting up and you don't really know what you're doing. You like forget where everything is because there's so many steps. I don't have proper stickers because obviously with the lockdown I can't have access to going to buy stickers. So I'm just using these little white ones. What I did when I started is I named everything. So for example, if the thread is to go here first, I put a number 1. And then I complete the bobbin with my numbers. Then when I'm actually threading the machine, I put another number 1 over here. If you do not have stickers, you can either use like a black marker, but please just make sure that if you are going to sell your machine, you don't want to have marks over it. So use something that can be removed. Another trick for lefties. Reason why I bought this machine is because this back tack bar only made for right-handed people. There's one over here if you are left-handed, so it is easier to control your fabric and you're not going all over the place. Your stronger hand is on this side, so you want to use your tools on this side rather than this side. I also have a really nifty speed control, so my machine can go faster and slower. Yep, that's it, guys. Okay guys, that's the final for today. I know it was a really long video, but all I can say and the advice I can give you is that if you are beginning to sew and you are attending a fashion school where you are learning on an industrial machine, just be patient with yourself. The only way you're going to improve and learn how to do this is through practice. If you can go and purchase your own machine and you are set on getting an industrial machine, I do really recommend that you spend at least 2 to 3 hours every day just practicing setting it up, getting a feel, because it is a daunting machine. If you are left-handed, I would not recommend starting with an industrial machine. Look, I can be wrong and I beg to differ, but if I had to go back and look at my budget, I would say start in a domestic machine. It is challenging learning on an industrial machine if you are left-handed. And if you do not have the budget to go and purchase a machine that does have speed control and your back tack underneath your sewing foot, you are going to struggle. So just from one left-handed person to another, do research before someone tells you to go and buy an industrial machine. Because if you look back a year later, you think to yourself, I could have done this and that different. And from my advice, I would start with the domestic and then go on to the industrial. This obviously all depends on the fashion journey you want to go on. If you intend on becoming like a designer or someone that's going to make boutique dresses and all of that, yes, an industrial machine is perfect. But I'm telling you this from my experience and from what I learned along the way. If I could have gone back, I would have started in domestic, and I know my life would have been easier, and I wouldn't have found sewing so challenging. Look, I love sewing now, but it did take me quite a few months to actually create a passion for it, which I only developed later on because it became so stressful for me setting up the machine and being at the same pace as everyone in my class. So I really suggest taking my advice and doing a lot of research before you go and buy your machines, because you are going to be told a million different things by a million different people. So I hope that the setup helps you. I hope that it creates a different journey for you and it makes it easier, but you won't get anywhere unless you practice. So that's to take with you today, and I'll be back with another video, another setup video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you can learn from this.